Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard. Bruce, what's going on, man? How are you?
Are they really listening to it right now, right here, live in living color?
No, they are not. We have been chasing you with a radar gun for several weeks. We even put out an APB a few weeks ago.
I got hit by the popo with the radar gun last night.
Did you get a ticket?
No.
Oh, you can still talk your way out of it.
They saw it was me. It's only doing 92.
92?
Yeah.
I think you need to
connector.
You need to slow it down. Hey, we are excited to finally have you. We used to do this show every week, and that feels like a long, long time ago now, but WrestleMania is behind us. Costa Rica and the trip from hell is behind us. A trip to France. Man, you've been all over the globe since we last caught up. What's the latest in Bruce Land over yonder?
Just another day in paradise, by God. And it's, everything's absolutely positively wonderful. Just really, really busy. And that's a good thing to be, I think. But not a whole lot of time for oneself. But by God, I got a little time today on Mother's Day. And so if you're listening to this on Monday, yesterday for you would have been Mother's Day. If you listen to it later on, then earlier this week. If you're listening to it like a year or so after, then don't forget your mother when Mother's Day comes along and say, Happy Mother's Day. My mom is dead, but I'm married to a mother with two beautiful children that very happy to wish their mama Happy Mother's Day. So it is about 3:00 in the morning here, and it's very, very, very early and very tired.
It's 9:07 in the morning.
That's what I said, but it's 3:00 somewhere.
It is indeed 3:00.
It's 3:00 somewhere.
There's so much to talk about and to catch up on. I guess first of all, we should just say, hey, congratulations on a huge WrestleMania and just the momentum that you guys had with all those sold out shows. And I know we don't talk about current stuff, but Bruce, you and I have not talked about this at all. We got to talk about the crowd in France. I mean, you've been in front of so many WWE crowds going all the way back to 1987. You've been able to see it, feel it, hear it, and watching on television on Peacock. It was just unbelievable to the point that the hard cam was shaking. What was it like in the building? And can you compare that crowd to almost any other crowd in wrestling history that you've seen?
Well, we always talk about, oh my God, this crowd was that, this crowd was this. And the crowd in Lyon, France was the loudest I have ever experienced. The level of excitement from the moment that they stepped in at 5:00 when doors opened, the moment they stepped into the arena, they were on. They were chanting, they were singing, they were having a good time. They were just happy to be there. But starting at about 5:20, so doors open at 5, starting about 5:20, they started with these chants and these songs. And we were trying to work. We were actually on a Zoom call back to the States, and we were going over, had some meetings on that Saturday. It was damn near impossible to hear yourself think. Now you move to that evening's entertainment, and we go into the gorilla position that we call it. Well, normally the gorilla position is kind of like just right backstage, and you're not in the arena per se. You're right at the edge. Well, this, because of the configuration, we were on the arena floor, and all we had on top of us was a tarp. You talk about loud. At one point, they sent out an emergency alert system to everyone's phones stating that the decibel level in that area of Lyon was dangerously high. And while the doctor was dabbing the blood out of my ears, he said, "Oh, hey, listen to this. So it was insane. God, what a beautiful, beautiful experience, because it was an audience that appreciated every little thing we did. They just wanted to be there and experience it live, and they loved every second of it. They appreciated what every talent, what every announcer, what every play-by-play and color person did, what every referee did. They were into the event and they were having fun, which is what you should do when you go to the matches. Is you should have fun, you should have a blast, and just enjoy your time and appreciate what the performers are doing for you. They're out there risking their lives for you and performing for you. So when you give it back the way that they did in France, I think that the talent give it back tenfold. And it was a magical night in that regard. A lot of people, would say, "Oh man, there were only 5 matches. There were 5 great matches that the audience appreciated every one of them and made them even better because of that enthusiastic audience." So, yeah, a few surprises like singing Randy Orton's song. I was like, "There are words to this song?" Wait a minute, I just saw it was I hear voices in my head. But they didn't stop. They did not stop. And then we got a loop of that phenomenal song that they would start to sing every time AJ Styles would do anything. And we listened to that all the way.
I got to tell you, man, I know we don't talk about current stuff and I don't expect you to have a comment, but I saw a lot of people online who were sort of negative about the idea that Cody's first challenger was AJ Styles. And I saw a lot of people sort of clowning on AJ and indicating, oh, he's past his prime and blah, blah, blah. And then they went out there and had one hell of a match, a barn burner. I mean, I know you laugh at this off and I get whatever, but it was even 5 stars from Dave Meltzer. Like this was a fantastic match. Like the crowd was, and I know that one of Cody's personal favorite matches is Hogan Rock at WrestleMania 18. And it's not necessarily because of the quote unquote work rate. I mean, you watch that match with the sound off, it's a totally different experience, but they had that level of response from the crowd. I just thought it was phenomenal. I mean, as far as a matinee pay-per-view goes, that's about as good as it gets. I really thought you guys did a great job.
Well, I think anybody discounting AJ Styles, my God.
Yeah.
One of the greatest, just absolute greatest talents of this era and or many others. But I don't know what there is. I don't know what there is to diss about AJ. It's like, good God, hardworking son of a gun, former champion. That of course he deserves to be in there. So.
Really phenomenal show. You guys are on a crazy run. Of course, we're now looking at the Queen and King of the Ring at the end of the month over in Saudi Arabia. Looks like Logan Paul is up next. There's just so much fun momentum in WWE right now. And you have been there for the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, the ugly. Is this the hottest and most momentum you remember feeling? I mean, is it comparable to the golden era? Is it comparable to the attitude era? How does this, I think Cody's referred to it as a Renaissance era, compare to those just from an office standpoint? Because this is really the first time that, well, who's not here.
Yeah, you can't compare them. I mean, they're all different. So they're all great in their own respect, especially in the time and in the moment. So to compare, they would have to be very similar. And the fact that they are all different makes it different, makes it new. And it's a great time. It's fun. It's a fun time to be a part of the business. And if you love it, if you love what is taking place and what's happening, then support it and enjoy it. But the main thing is kick back and enjoy it. Don't overanalyze everything to the point that you make yourself sick. Just enjoy what's happening in front of you and appreciate it and take it from there, because it's only going to be there for so long. You know what I mean? And before you know it, man, there's something else. There's something else that's going on, and you're going to wish that you had savored it a little bit more. So savor it now. Go in and hug your mama and tell her you love her. Savor her too.
Well, we appreciate all the time that we get, and we're trying to savor that with you. But we do want to make an announcement about the future of Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard. So stay tuned to the end of today's episode, and we have a Well, the inevitable announcement that you probably thought was long overdue.
Well, Conrad, all we've got is time, and time is a precious commodity.
Well, that's true. Which is why I think that we need to remind everybody about our friends at Mando. You see, the most valuable thing in the world isn't a hot crowd in my own. It's time. Managing and worrying about body odor used to take up a lot of time. And if you were paranoid about smelling, or especially around midday, well, it can be time consuming, all time consuming, but not anymore. When you switch to Mando whole body deodorant, you're going to free up time. Yeah, you're going to have the opportunity to be the buzzer beater at the Royal Rumble here. This is effective and long lasting. Mando doesn't cover up odor after the fact with heavy fragrances like other deodorants. You see, instead, Mando stops odor at the source by blocking the bacteria on your skin from eating your sweat. Well, that's the actual cause of BO. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that Mando is now clinically proven to control odor for up to 72 hours. A long time. So give yourself the precious gift of time and get yourself some Mando whole body deodorant. We've got a special offer where new customers can get $5 off Mando's best selling starter pack with the code STW at shopmando.com. Now, let me be clear. Whole body deodorant is exactly what you think. I mean, I remember when I was a Ute, as they said in My Cousin Vinny, I learned about deodorant, but man, you just put it under your armpits, right? Well, with this whole body deodorant from Mando, you can use it on your pits, your belly button, your butt crack, your stomach crevices, your stinky crevices, your feet, your grundle, your balls. Yeah, everywhere. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was just being misdiagnosed and mistreated. And now Mando whole body deodorant is powerful enough for the toughest body odor, but gentle enough to literally use anywhere, including the old family jewels. And you don't have to worry because Mando is aluminum free, baking soda free, cruelty free, dye free, vegan free, and they're going to get you stink free because it's clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. About 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle odor level is a 5 out of 10. But with Mando, the average grundle odor level is a 0 out of 10. Listen, I don't know what makes them want to do the things they like to do, but I know what makes them not want to do it. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like the mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Now, luckily, we've got a discount code to help you get hooked up on your favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. Remember, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to like over 40% off your starter pack. Go use the code STW right now at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Shopmando.com. Bruce, we have,
do they sell that in France?
You know, I'm not sure if they have international shipping. Why do you ask?
Just curious. Asking for a friend.
He's a heel. I mean, here
Who?
you.
No, I'm not.
Here you were all two-handing them about best crowd in the history of WWE. And then
no argument there, man.
Kind of insinuating.
Not them.
Perhaps.
No.
Maybe.
I was asking for a friend.
What's your friend's name?
Huh?
What's your friend's name?
We.
Is he related? What's Wee's last name?
Wee Petty.
Oh, I thought you were going to say wee. Listen,
that would be silly, Conrad. Then that would be a ha-ha. We're not going for ha-has.
Okay.
Here.
Sorry. All just the facts, man. Strictly
just
business
facts.
Here on somethingtowrestle.com.
Exactly.
We want to encourage you, if you haven't already, support us on YouTube. Somethingtowrestle.com is where you can find all things Bruce Prichard these days. That's somethingtowrestle.com. Totally free. Doesn't cost you anything. Turn on the notifications bell so you know when we've got a new video going. Today, we're going to pick up where we've left off about the face that runs the place. Maybe one of the more misunderstood, underappreciated talents, as crazy as that is, because he was a doggone superstar and still is. Of course, we're talking about John Cena. And we've told some of his story of when he first became the man. But as a friend of ours used to say, Becoming the man and staying the man are two different things. And we left off our story with Edge and Cena storyline wrapping up at the end of 06 as we head into 07. And somehow, some way, you guys pair him up with Kevin Federline. I understand that Federline had been more of a name, in this TMZ Perez Hilton type culture. Of course, he was the backup dancer who wound up marrying Britney Spears, and then all the chaos in Britney's life happened and it all went real public. And I know that you said he was a delight to work with, but why was John the guy? What was it just, hey, this is our opportunity at a mainstream rub, and we definitely want to attach that to John? Because sometimes you guys would look to other talent, like The Miz, for example, who maybe isn't a main event character every week, but hey man, this is going to connect and he's going to make it work. Why was John chosen here?
John was the biggest star. I think John was going to get the most play out of it. And when you take a look at Kevin Federline, who was in so many headlines and involved in so much controversy outside of our business, that really the only guy to rub him up against was John Cena. And it was a way for fans to get behind Cena, because definitely if there was one person that was easier to hate than John Cena, it was Kevin Federline. And people didn't know a whole lot about Kevin other than he was Britney's husband at the time and very controversial. So who better? I don't know that anybody else on the entire roster matched up. And then you can go with the Michael Hayes philosophy of, do you think Brittany would come to see Kevin Federline with John Cena? Then we could get Brittany and I could ask her if she could sing a song and that would be good for a pay-per-view.
Did he really pitch Brittany singing on pay-per-view?
Yeah. He just assumed that she would travel with him and that we'd get Brittany to do something. Not that, and I wouldn't be surprised, because I wasn't in the office all that much then anyway, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't the pitch as well. You know what I mean? That,
well, then
hey, we could, get Kevin Federline, and then, Brittany may come, and it's in the door to use Brittany. And Brittany was the hottest thing going at the time. So wouldn't shock me if that was the pitch.
Wouldn't shock me if he's pitched something similar with Travis Kelce. But these are all good ideas, right? No bad ideas.
Sure, they are. There's no such thing as a bad idea.
That's right. Do you think anybody else was ever considered for the Federline thing? Like when Federline is going to be coming over, does he make a request? Is he interested in, hey, I like this guy or I like that guy, or he's just game to do whatever?
Just like do something.
That's fun.
And then I think doing it with Cena is even more exciting because now you're doing it with the top guy, and John makes everything just easy as can be.
You told us in the past that Federline was probably one of the celebrities you had the most fun with. And you were kind of surprised by that because he was on time. He did everything he was asked to do. He was reliable. He was dependable. And he actually gets a win on New Year's Day over John Cena, January 1st, 2007. Now he had a little help from Umaga. Was there ever any concern or question or debate about having a quote unquote celebrity pin your top star? Or is that just passe by 07?
Well, you say that Federline was quote unquote celebrity. That could be debated, but Federline was definitely known. Federline was married to a celebrity, and he was a quasi outside.
Well, their relationship
he could probably one of the. He could probably be listed as one of those influencers.
There you go. Okay, well said.
But. What was the question? Was John apprehensive about?
No, I just think, I know there's some old school thinking in wrestling sometimes, and you always protect your top star and blah, blah, blah. Was there someone from the older guard who was like, wait a minute, we can't have this non-wrestler pin our champion? And I know Umaga's there, but I'm just curious. Do you think that was even a debate in 07? Or at that point, did everybody sort of get, hey, this just gets us to the next thing? It doesn't matter.
I'm sure there were people who thought, what are we doing? However, I think that there were a lot of people that were wondering what the hell Jerry Lawler was doing with Andy Kaufman, what Hulk Hogan was doing with Mr. T.
Right.
And this was a different time, a different era as far as the celebrity. What actually made a celebrity a celebrity? That's why, when you say quote unquote quasi influencer, whatever the hell he was famous. People knew the name, people knew him, and they had an opinion about Kevin Federline. Most of those opinions were not that popular, wasn't well liked. And that's goes to the same thing in the business. When people would meet heels back in the day, they would find out, oh my God, he's the nicest guy. But yeah, he's a bad guy on TV. You would meet your heroes, and they would be the biggest assholes. And you would say, oh my God, he's such a nice guy on TV, but he's so mean and just nasty in real life. So I'd say all that to, say that in this particular situation with Kevin Federline, man, he was such a joy to work with. And he was easy, he was very respectful, probably a little scared to be in there because he was like, yeah, okay, man. He was a dancer, so he was in great shape.
Right.
Smoked, probably a carton of cigarettes a day. But he was not afraid of anything, not afraid of a thing, didn't turn anything down, talked it through, said, I don't know how to do that, but if you show me, I'll be able to figure it out. And it just went in with a great appreciation of what it is that we do in our business. So hats off to him for that, because it was very easy when you have someone like that to do business with.
Let's talk about Umaga. He's going to be working with John Cena on a lot of the house shows. It's usually Cena getting a win by DQ because Umaga is this undefeated monster at this point. And that's not really something that Cena, as our hero, has faced yet. What did you think of the Cena Umaga dynamic? The run that Umaga had been on as the Samoan bulldozer who was undefeated. I mean, another talent, and we say this unfortunately all too often, gone way too soon, but a special performer. And I'm curious how John enjoyed working with him and what you thought of that matchup.
Every person that was given the opportunity to share the ring with Umaga loved Umaga. Eki was great. He was easy to work with, got it. Didn't need a lot of umming up, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that. No, man. I got it, bro. Umaga was just, man, that kind of athlete that you were comfortable with. You could go out and you knew that he could do anything. And you also knew that by giving your body to him, that you were in the safest hands you could possibly be in. Umaga was one of those generational talents that only comes along every once in a while. It was a charisma, an unspoken charisma. And everyone believed in him. And everyone had, that regardless of who you are and what you think you are, you still had that little bit of fear of Umaga. Because as sweet as he could be, he was also one of those guys that made you believe he had a switch that when flipped, he was an uncontrollable maniac. So yeah, I think that Umaga was excellent. I think the audience saw through to the dangerous Umaga as well.
Have you had a chance to see his son perform? I think he debuted a couple of years ago with your pal Booker T and Houston's Reality of Wrestling, his promotion there. I haven't seen any of Umaga's son. Have you managed to see any
I
of
have
his
not.
stuff? I just can't help but think even more about Umaga these days with all the success of this bloodline storyline. Golly, man, what a special talent. He would have just been enjoying all of this so much, I'm sure. Other times
Absolutely.
we see John Cena team with DX. Yeah, they brought back DX. This isn't the one we grew up on. This is the second iteration, I suppose, maybe the third. It's Shawn Michaels and Triple H. What a six man. You know, John Cena, Shawn Michaels, Triple H. That's a lot of people who grew up in this era. That's part of their, or the bulk of their Mount Rushmore. They're going to be taking on Umaga, Edge, and Randy Orton. I mean, that was a big match then, but now with the benefit of hindsight, man, just bona fide Hall of Famers everywhere you look. Those had to be really fantastic live events.
They were because it was six guys that loved to get in there and work and be able to go and just have fun every night and learn and grow. So that in and of itself helps the match. When you got guys that want to try new things and that want to, their sole purpose is, all right, let's go out and entertain this audience. And it becomes a contest amongst themselves.
Right.
Who can get the biggest pop? Who can get the biggest boo? Who can get this crowd off their butt if they're not really into it so far? So yeah, it's six great talent. Of course, it's going to be great.
Of course, the real feud here is John Cena and Umaga, and they're actually going to get set up for the Royal Rumble with a last man standing match. And John Cena is going to retain there. That happens at the Royal Rumble. And Meltzer would say, this was one hell of a well put together match. You'll see a lot of better wrestling matches and more fluid, but as well as a scripted brawl with weapons where both guys came out looking great, this was top of the line. Most of the match was Cena almost having Umaga finished out, but Umaga kept coming back up like a monster. And Bruce, the rumor and innuendo was that, accidentally, I'm sure, Umaga was knocked out at the finish of this, and that created some issues. And I know it's live and it ain't ballet and things happen, but can you confirm, do you remember him being knocked a little loopy here? And what's going on in the backstage area when you realize, something happened, but they're professionals. We should trust everybody and let it breathe. Or is it, we need a backup plan. Let's start thinking on our feet. What happens in a moment like that where something like this happens?
No, he wasn't knocked out. He was choked out. And John had the ropes around Umaga's neck. And when he pulled back, Umaga had this big, there's a picture of it. Big necklace around his neck. And the rope got around there and it just cut off the supply of air to his carotid artery and very much like a sleeper hold.
Yeah.
Umaga passed out and he just passed out. So it's not one of those where, hey man, you good? You good? And somebody say, yeah, and they're not good. Or no. And he was out. He was snoring. So, obviously John didn't mean to do that. It's just, it was a spot in the match, but big man went out.
Yeah. The STFU with the rope. It's a 4-star match, according to the Observer. Who cares about star ratings? But I am saying this has got to be one of the more spectacular last man standing matches, not just in WWE history, but in wrestling history. Like, maybe it's not your favorite one of all time. Maybe you can name one you prefer more, but it's got to be on a short list. Where does this rank for you as far as last man standing matches?
I thought it was great because it took two guys who can take the stipulation, all right, of the last man standing and be able to make it larger than life, make you want to see based on their match, make everybody else want to see a last man standing match because they got it. They used the stipulation to their advantage in the match. A lot of times you'll have a stipulation match that the stipulation or whatever it is only gets used once or in the finish. This set the stage. This set the stage that you can beat a man anywhere in that arena. And the fact that it finished right in the middle of the ring makes it even better. And to me, I thought it was masterfully done. Simple to understand.
Go out of your way to watch this one. If you're looking for a great wrestling match to watch today, one maybe you forgot about, this last man standing match with Umaga and John Cena is the one I would recommend. I want to ask you, just philosophically, we've talked a little bit before that you considered, and I think this is the phrase you used, New York was a babyface territory. Whereas maybe in the Crockett's, they would have a heel champion like Ric Flair and all the baby faces chasing. And Vince and his father maybe preferred the Brunos and the Hulk Hogan's, and now perhaps the John Cena's. And I'm curious, like, you've had this unbeatable monster that you've built, and it's working, it's believable, it's credible. He has an unbeaten streak. Was it ever considered, what if we just go with Umaga here, let him win the title, and then have Cena chase a bit? Or at this point, are we too close to WrestleMania? You already have that in mind. You can't change course.
Well, first of all, you're on course. Second of all, I think that overall, when I say New York, I think WWE in general
Yes.
was a babyface promotion because you had your top guy was normally very popular with fans and sold merch, sold action figures, did everything else. Okay. For the company, and the company was represented by this guy with a smile on his face and had a positive message. In that regard, wasn't just New York, it was everywhere that the company went,
Right.
including international, everywhere else you went. They went into, the Carolinas in a traditional NWA territory or whatever that actually meant at the time. And still that babyface champion was met with the same kind of accolades as anybody else. And I think that it was a way, it was an education. It's a way that the audience had been brought up for so long and eventually changed and got to experiment and got to get a taste of both. But both are something that you have to educate the audience with. You've got to get them on board. You got to get them on board to love that champion and come to see him keep and overcome evil. And on the other side, if you have a heel champion, you've got to have baby faces that you believe are going to come in and beat that champion on that night when you're there. That's what you're paying for, man. You want to see him come in and beat him. And if he doesn't get beat, you at least want to see him get their butt kicked.
I know we're spending a lot of time talking about Umaga here, but do you think that this match with John Cena here at Royal Rumble sort of helped make Umaga? Did he win some people over backstage and in the office with this performance? Because I still think when I think about Umaga's biggest matches and best matches, this is probably it. And I've heard before that, a single match can help make a guy and put him on the map. Was this one of those matches for Umaga, do you think? Did John Cena? I know Umaga was trying to help build John Cena's title run, but in fact, did this match with John Cena help make Umaga?
Yeah, it probably helped him, but by this time, I think Umaga was already there.
Yeah.
Umaga had already proven night after night, live events and everything that he did. When it was his turn to go, he was proving people that he was the guy that could go and work with anybody, any place, anytime.
It's unfortunate, man, because I know that, some bad habits got the better of him and cut his, not just in ring career and professional wrestling career short, but his life short. And I just can't help but think about what could have been with him.
Absolutely.
Hey, and in an unrelated note, if you have some bad habits that you're looking to change, can we recommend Fume? It's going to really be a great way to help you get rid of some of those bad habits. Maybe you've heard the flavored air category is quickly becoming one of the leading alternatives to vaping and smoking. It's a whole new movement towards better habits, led by the sponsor of today's video, Fume. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device. Flavored air is not like vaping. If vapor was compared to sticky soda, Fume is closer to herbal teas. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from too, like crisp mint and orange vanilla. And with flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, vapor, or combustion. Fume draws flavor to your mouth. Fume fills the void, ditching a bad habit, and you don't have to worry about what you're reaching for because Fume is not a vape. There's no vapor. You can use it anywhere. There's no nicotine. It's not addictive. There's non-toxic flavors. It's a true guilt-free alternative. And by the way, there's no battery, so you never need to charge it. And it looks awesome. It's weighted. It's a high-quality design. It's fun to fidget with. It calms your anxiety with magnets and snaps and clicks, and it's really awesome. Fume continuously invests in third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products, and Fume is backed by doctors in the US. My wife was looking to create some better habits, and now she's using Fume. And her favorite flavors are crisp mint and orange vanilla. I recommend you try both of those if this is something you're looking to maybe create some better habits with. And I absolutely love the look and feel of it. I mean, this looks like something cool sitting on a shelf, but boy, it really is something that my wife enjoys. You will too. Fume has served over 300,000 customers and you can be the next success story. It's that easy. For a limited time, use our code WRESTLE to get a free gift with your journey pack. Just head over to tryfume.com. That's tryfum.com and use our code WRESTLE, or just scan the QR code that's on the screen right now and you'll get a free gift with your order today. That's tryfum.com. And be sure to use our promo code WRESTLE, or just scan the QR code on the screen right now. So the night after the last man standing match, we've got Monday Night Raw in Dallas, Texas, where we're actually going to see John Cena team up with Shawn Michaels to wrestle Rated RKO, and they win the tag titles. So now we've got a world champ who's also the tag champ. What are we thinking here? What's the strategy here, Bruce?
Well, why not? I think John Cena was, especially at this time, was the biggest thing in the company. And we've done it before. It was a good story. And I think when you want to get to your Cena Michaels little confrontation there, I think it was a very simple way to get there. And having them being successful as a tag team is the first step in that direction.
This pairing of Shawn Michaels as a tag champ with not Marty Jannetty, but John Cena just feels weird to me. I don't know why, but when I think of Shawn Michaels in a tag team title situation, I think I just always think of Marty Jannetty, not John Cena. And never would anybody ever compare.
You want to know what's scary? I don't think of Marty Jannetty at all when I think of that.
Really?
I think of Diesel. I think of Cena. I think of Triple H.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I get it, man. Shawn and Marty and the Rockers and back in the 80s. But when you think about the time that they spent together versus the time that Shawn is spent with Triple H and with Diesel, Cena, not so much. But in that era, yes.
It's interesting, I guess, because it's what you sort of, at least in my case, it's what I grew up with. So I just think of the Rockers as a tag team. I don't even think of him and Kevin Nash. I don't even know why. I kind of forgot it until you said it right there. When do you remember when you think back to your wrestling fandom, opponents becoming tag team champions? I know that we saw that with like Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold in 1997. It looked like they were going to be opposed, and now they're tag champs. And even though they're tag champs, they're still going to wrestle. When was the first time you saw that? Was that something from the old territory days you recall, or was that a more modern thing?
No, it was a great way to turn a heel. Wahoo McDaniel and Johnny Valentine against Chris Markoff and Bronco Lubitsch. it was a huge deal. And Johnny Valentine had always been a heel, and Markoff and Lubitsch attacked Wahoo, and Wahoo was like kind of just on an island unto himself. And he went to the one man that he knew was tough enough to stand next to him in the ring, was a guy that was the toughest guy he ever stood across from, which was Johnny Valentine, and teamed with Valentine to face Markoff and Lubitsch. So I remember it vividly. And to the other side, man, as far as Thunderbolt Patterson, which you talked about, Thunderbolt Patterson switching heel to team with the just notoriously evil Tora Tanaka to win the United States Tag Team Championships. So yeah, I kind of that will maybe it was a Texas thing, I don't know, but I definitely remember that.
Let's talk about Triple H for a minute. I know that he's going to tear his quad at New Year's Revolution in January of 07. And that's got to change some of your plans. I mean, he's not going to be in the Rumble. WrestleMania is out, blah, blah, blah. Do you think you still would have done this John Cena, Shawn Michaels tag team champions story had Triple H not been injured? Or was it time to, hey, injuries here, so let's hit the reset button? And because when one of your top guys goes down, it changes everything, right?
It really does. It's domino effect. And I don't really remember, but it definitely worked, I thought, with Shawn and Cena. So it's like, here's what you have, folks. Let's make it work. So that's what we did.
It was in the Observer that Shawn Michaels was getting hotter and hotter at reactions and quarter hours and things like that. And with Hunter on the shelf, did you see Shawn Michaels and John Cena perhaps main eventing a WrestleMania at any point before this? Or was that just a reaction, do you think?
No, I think that anytime you looked at Shawn, my God, Shawn was Mr. WrestleMania.
Yes.
Of course, when you've got the brand new guy coming up and it's John Cena and he's as popular as he was. Oh yeah, that's one that the booking gods just give you.
Yes.
It's there. Use it if you want. And to me, that's a no-brainer. That's not a difficult thing to figure out.
Of course, the tag title reign is really going to lay the groundwork in the foundation because we're on a collision course for WrestleMania. What made that program most compelling to you? Just let's go Cena sucks, and the old school fans who like Shawn, or is there something different?
No, I think that it was two of the most popular and controversial characters in the history of WWE working together, but knowing that, well, okay, well, one of these guys is the champion. The other guy is a former champion. So if I'm a fan and I'm a fan of one or the other, you've got to ask who's better. Who should be champion right now? And if you're the diehard Shawn Michaels fan, then you're saying, man, Shawn Michaels is the guy. And if Shawn only had the opportunity at Cena, he would be the champion again. So with all of those things, again, it kind of writes itself because it's in your face. And it's easy to do. It's can't ignore it.
Let's talk a little bit about the main event, WrestleMania. What a big moment it is. John Cena's been the man in 05, in 06. Now here he is the man in 07. And he's got a super elaborate ring entrance. There's a race car type look here with a Ford Mustang speeding around the streets and turning those corners and then driving through the glass. I mean, it was a really impressive entrance. What do you remember of putting this together? Whose idea was this? I mean, this is one of the more elaborate entrances in wrestling history.
Yeah, it was. And it'll also blow your mind even more to make it a little more elaborate and more crazy. John Cena drove all that.
Wow.
All that stunt driving, all that crazy driving, that was all John. It was shot several nights before in like at 3:00 in the morning when they were able to shut down all the streets so that we could shoot overhead and had helicopters and whatever. I don't think drones were a thing yet at that point, but we had cameras everywhere and able to shoot that thing. So that part of it was done. And then, then you're thinking to yourself, God, I hope it's nice weather on the night of the event. Then coming down the ramp, that was to me, that was the scariest part.
Yeah.
They wanted to do a stunt driver that wore the helmet that you could then switch John into, and John flat out refused. John wanted the continuous shot and to go through the glass and to stay right on him and get out and see that was all John Cena. And it all was, because John just wanted to do it. You know, from my vantage point, I was scared to death because it was John Cena in a car going way too fast. But John's a great driver, so he loves that, and he made it work. And that adds something to it. It's another level of respect.
Yes.
That you can handle this huge muscle car. It was Ford Field. It was a Ford. It was something that they really wanted to do to spotlight the Ford brand. And I think that we accomplished that. So it was pretty cool. But to me, it was even cooler. No matter what, you know, the whether it be the dirt sheets or the fans or whoever, the skeptics, oh, that wasn't John Cena driving. Yeah, it was. And it was scary. You know, one wrong move and it's a bad night.
Yeah, not only for John, but for everyone. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of things could have gone wrong here, and thankfully that did not happen. You know, when I hear that story, I sort of think about, you know, we've heard from the Hollywood section of the world, guys like Tom Cruise would, oh, he does his own stunts, that sort of thing. Do you think that was what John was thinking? Like, hey man, I'm kind of out here doing my own stunts every night anyway. I'm not going to have somebody else do this for me, especially when I like to drive. I mean, anybody who's listening to this knows that John's a big car collector and car enthusiast. So I mean, he's had supercars and hypercars and everything in between. You think that's the thinking? He wanted that sort of pride of, I do my own stunts.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you know, I always kind of chuckle at that, and I find it. Tom Cruise does his own stunts. Yeah, okay, great. He's hooked in 9 different ways from Sunday into every device, and there's not a thing that could ever possibly happen to him. And he goes along for the ride. It's like a amusement park ride for him. The danger of being out there without a net, it's a completely different situation. And I think that's where John was in this. And yes, it is a pride thing. Yes, it is be able to say, no, that was me. That wasn't someone else doing that. And the danger involved. And then as soon as you do that, people will scoff at it, discount it, try to make it seem like it wasn't as dangerous as it actually was. But, you know, if you can do it, it's always better. And it's, you know, it is what it is. Like the time that Undertaker drugged Hulk Hogan behind on the motorcycle. Michael Hayes and I stood next to each other and went, looks like fun. I want to go next.
Yeah.
You know, it's different. It's just different.
Something else a little different is a British fan hit the ring during the main event. So John Cena is in there working his ass off with Shawn Michaels, the main event of the biggest show of the year. And here comes the fan. Mike Chioda's the referee. He's going to grab a front face lock on the fan. Meltzer would say Shawn Michaels wanted to jump in, but was motioned not to. The fan started taking his clothes off down to his Union Jack underwear. Jimmy Tillis grabbed him in a choke and threw him over the guardrail. In the ring, Chioda wanted the match to start, but Michaels sat on the top turnbuckle and wasn't going to start until the guy was gone. It was funny as Michaels mouthed, I've got a job to do, as he's kind of upset. What do you remember of this? I mean, this has got to be, here you were worried about the stunt. And now that's not it. Like immediately, wait, what is this?
It happens. Yeah, I mean, those things, they happen. Take care of it, you move on. You don't dwell on it. This is kind of sad to say, but especially at that point in my career, there have been so many through my lifetime, especially back in the territorial days, that if you didn't have somebody hitting the ring, something was wrong. So, kind of another day at the office. We just handled it a lot differently as we got older and realized that most of the time somebody gets into the ring, especially with the WWE event, and they don't, they're not going to do anything, man. They get in there, they just want to be in there.
Right.
So, it's a different mindset, completely different mindset than it ever used to be. Nobody's going to go in there wanting to stab the heel or anything like that. They just want, hey, I got in the ring, yay.
Let's talk a little bit about the crowd reaction to John Cena. Unfortunately, despite the great entrance and all the effort, boy, they are just brutal to him at this show. He's booed more than anybody else on the entire show, but he's also the most recognizable face and selling the most merch. Is that hard to reconcile? Like, how is he selling the most action figures and the most title belts and the most t-shirts and hats? Oh my. And the fans are still reacting this way. Is that just that one? I mean, how do you make that make sense, Bruce?
Listen to your question. What you just said. He got the biggest reaction of the night. That's why they cared.
Okay.
They cared. They cared enough to boo him louder than anybody else on the card. They care. Whether they were booing him or cheering him.
There was a reaction.
The boos were a little deeper. Cheers had a higher pitch to them. You heard the boos louder because of the cheers were just younger and not as strong and deep. They care. They cared about John Cena. That's why. That's why he was number one in merchandise sales. That's why everything that he did, that's why people were coming out to see him and support him. And they weren't supporting him. They were booing him. The hell they weren't supporting. They were coming to see him, to boo him. That's support. Thank you very much. Well, so yeah, man, he was getting the biggest reactions every single night, bar none.
Well, somebody somewhere is going to support their favorite baseball team today. I can't believe this is real, but man, baseball is getting heated up. I can't believe summer's already here. That's one of my favorite things to do is enjoy a baseball game because it's a day out. It's a day with family. I mean, that's what it represents to me. And I want to remind everybody that GameTime is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. And prices on the GameTime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, GameTime just takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. I, for one, highly recommend that you see some of these more famous ballparks in America if you've never done that before. I've been fortunate enough to see games in Boston and in New York and in Chicago, and I think you should too. It's an experience you can appreciate because you're listening to this show, man, you love nostalgia. Well, that's what baseball is to me, America's pastime. And I tell you, GameTime makes it so easy. Like I've often taken a look at a seat map and wondered, well, yeah, okay, I see what the dot looks like on this chart, but what's the view look like? GameTime shows you that. Not only that, but the GameTime guarantee means if you find cheaper seats in the same row and same section, they'll credit you 110% of the difference. So you're always getting the best deal possible. But what I really like about Game Time is they don't like bait and switch you, where they show you, hey, it's this price per ticket. But then when you go to check out, they've added all these junk fees on there and they're crazy, like crazy premiums on top. You don't see any of that with Game Time. They give you the all in price. When you say, hey, I like that seat and that price, that's what it is. And you can do this up to the very last minute. By doing that with Game Time, you'll save up to 60% when you're buying last minute for sports, for concerts, for comedy, for theater. And they've even got flash deals. So you can actually have in-app deals on select games ahead of time. I just absolutely love Game Time. I think you will too. And you'll also know that the purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the entire ticketing industry. It's the Game Time ticket coverage that you just don't want to miss out on. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code WRESTLE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code WRESTLE. That's WRESTLE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So in this main event here, we see Shawn Michaels do the 5-knuckle shuffle and then accidentally super kick Kyoto. And, of course, there's no ref to count and blah, blah, blah. Eventually, the key spots are Shawn Michaels kicking out of an FU. John Cena's going to kick out of a super kick. But when it's all said and done, Cena uses the FU and then the STFU, and Shawn taps out. After the match, Cena goes to shake Shawn's hands and Shawn walks away. So the crowd, maybe they were booing John at first. He gets a nice reception at the end of the night. Another great main event for John Cena. Big match John. That reputation continues to build. 4 stars. I know that Umaga was a generational talent. You said we know that Shawn Michaels is all time 1A or 1B, depending on who you ask. But this is around the same time that I started to hear people sort of praise John Cena after years of saying, oh, he's only got the 5 moves of doom or what have you. The criticism may have been. But in this era, it felt like people started to say more and more, no, John Cena always delivers on pay-per-view. And that's when I started to hear people say big match John. When do you think big match John became a thing?
I think from the very beginning when he stepped up. I think that when you go back, I think it was WrestleMania 21 with JBL, and John stepped up into that position and delivered. Nobody wants to go back and give him his credit when he was doing it, when he was fighting the fight, when he was fighting an uphill battle. That a lot of folks, no matter what he did or who he did it against, would have panned him or would have criticized him. But I think that you go back to 21 and you look at John, that it was then. It was then. And everybody else just caught up. I went, oh, okay. Well, you know what? Those were really great. Just didn't want to give it to him.
Let's talk a little bit about Raw the next night. Shawn Michaels officially turns on John Cena the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. They were the tag champs, but now because of the turn, they're going to lose the titles in a 10-man tag or a 10-team tag team battle royal. The Hardys are going to wind up winning, so they're the new tag champs. But the split, like I know that we never saw John Cena as a bad guy. If we're going to have to turn the volume up on this, it needs to be the challenger. Shawn Michaels is a great heel. Was it hard to get people to boo Shawn because he was such a legacy performer at this point?
I think there was a certain segment of the audience that didn't want to boo Shawn because they respected Shawn.
Right.
But at the same time, Shawn was easy to boo. Shawn had a cockiness and an arrogance about him that people went, you know what, screw you. But he had done it so long that respect factor was there and that they wanted to still say, well, Shawn's done it better for longer. So crazy.
This is going to build towards another classic for John Cena and Shawn Michaels. It's 55 minutes and 45 seconds. It's one of those special Monday Night Raws from jolly old England, but they go 55 minutes and 45 seconds. And Meltzer liked this even better than the WrestleMania main event. He gave it 4.25 stars. It wasn't an Iron Man match, but boy, it went about as long. I mean, this is really showing all the doubters, all the naysayers. Oh, John can't wrestle. Oh, 5 moves of doom. 55 minutes on Monday Night Raw, and it's that well received. John Cena, he's a gamer. He can go.
You're welcome.
That was your call?
Let me tell you a little story about how this all came about.
Yes.
All right. The week before this, we had been in like Florence, Italy. We were in Italy. And we're told, because there was a international tour going on at the time, and SmackDown was going one place, Raw was going the other place. And they said, if you go, so you start off in Italy, you have a choice. Can't fly home and then fly back to London. You have a choice. You can go on tour with your brand, Raw or SmackDown, and then we all meet up in London. Or the plane is going to go to Rome, and you can spend a week in Rome, but you got to work on the shows. You'll have some time in Rome. You know, you can do your own things just because of the time difference, but you got to work on the shows. So I chose to go to Rome. Myself, 3 other people chose to go to Rome. While in Rome, went to the Colosseum, went to all the, had the greatest tour in the world of the Angels and Demons tour. There was a tour of Robert Langdon's journey. If you've ever read the book Angels and Demons, one of the greatest tours I've ever been a part of. Ate out in the piazza every night. The greatest food in the world. You ever get a chance to go to Rome, go to Rome. And in this, you know, in the mornings, we would have breakfast and we would set time aside so that we could go over Raw and we could go over the show. And Brian Geeworks was back in the States. And Brian was like, what do you guys have? What do you guys have? And I said, you know what? Here's what we have. I gave him like, you know, an hour of stuff. I said, but this all builds to a 1-hour match with Cena versus Shawn. Oh, that's bullshit. That's lazy. That's no good. But you guys just aren't working. You guys aren't doing anything. Everybody at home and everybody on the tour, they're all pissed off at us because just keep pushing this 1-hour match. And they're pissed. And we get to London, and Brian's not too pleased with us, felt that we didn't do a whole lot other than tourist stuff. And I throw out in the meeting, hey, how about an hour match? Cena and Shawn. God damn, old American. And that's what we did. And it was the meeting went from a potentially long, several hour meeting to, that's great. Let's do that. Everybody was like, how in the hell? But it was good. Everybody thinks that, you know, it was a way to get out of 6 segments. But we were there. And it made sense. And it did deliver. And it was good. So to all the naysayers, that's actually how it happened. And it's a bone of contention to this day. And we always use that as an example. When stuck, I go, let's do an hour match. Different times, different things. But I would highly recommend going to Rome and going and seeing the Colosseum. And if you go to the piazza, okay, and you ask the waiter, excuse me, where can we get cocaine and hookers?
Oh God.
And they were very we have none of that here. We have none. Yeah, it's a joke, okay? It's a joke. And get up to go to the bathroom, and the waiter follows me into the bathroom. if you really are looking for the cocaine and the hookers, none of that's here. But if you go out to the look, I'm with them. Just kidding.
Hypothetically, did you say cocaine and hookers, or did you say hookers and blow?
No, we said cocaine.
Okay. Because hookers and blow, I think, is the phrase that I've heard friends use.
Well, we use cocaine.
Let's talk about what's next.
We're not cool like that.
Backlash is a fatal 4-way. Man, take a look at this. All the way back here. John Cena, Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton, Edge. It's really remarkable the talent that you've got piled in here. But a fatal 4-way. Do you like those? Do you hate those? Is that challenging as a writer and a producer and a booker to how do we put this together? And then it's got to be even more challenging to put the actual match together. I mean, the story is one thing, but the match, that's got to be tricky, right?
Well, again, sometimes I think that, those can be accused of being lazy, putting them together. But when the story lends itself to it, then it's a great payoff to a story if it's the right mix. And in this particular situation, I think it was the right mix. I thought that it was terrific the way that everything came together because you had all these guys still vying. Everybody had a position, and everybody had a valid position as to why they should be the ones facing John for that championship. So yeah, it's and it helps. And I'm not a big fan of those type of matches, but sometimes they're the best for the situation.
The finish is pretty interesting. You've got Edge spearing Randy Orton, Cena hitting the FU on Edge, and Shawn Michaels hitting the sweet chin music on John Cena, who then falls on Orton to retain the title. So everybody hits their finish. Everybody's laid out. Everybody's dead. Everybody's exhausted. But as the champion falls, he falls on the guy who caught another guy's finish, and he sort of accidentally becomes the winner. Pretty creative little finish. Is that a Michael Hayes special, do you think?
I have no idea. I doubt it. It's probably too good.
Shout out to Michael Naves. We would see Cena successfully defend the
and again, this is just a reminder for our fans. Okay. Anytime if you see a Michael Hayes out in the wild, please, his favorite thing is when you go up to him and go, duh, duh, duh.
Show him the hand gesture, because he'll love it when strangers.
Names.
But a lot of people don't know what Nabes is, and I know that he doesn't like when people he doesn't know try to hit him with the Nabe. So we'll get a one shot of you here and show us your hand forwards and sideways. So everybody seeing this can approach Michael.
Nah, just do the doot doot doot, because that's our new thing.
Well, he hates doot doot doot. But he
really hates do with the point. Do.
Okay, got it.
You gotta do it like it's Dave Silva doing it. Okay.
Okay.
Do.
What is that accent? Is that a Cheech and Chong accent you're doing there? What is that?
It's just Dave Silva.
Okay, got it.
I don't know. Michael came to me one day and goes, "Hey man, I was walking through the airport one day and the guy came up to me and went do. To break the tension in the middle of stuff, everything. I was just looking.
Yeah, he loves it when you do that. When you see him at a gym, at an airport, at a hotel, at a rental car.
Anytime out in the wild.
Yeah, if he's got the fanny pack on, do it twice. Cena is going to successfully defend his WWE title from May through October of 2007, and along the way, he becomes the first person to defeat the great Khali. It was a submission at Judgment Day on May 20th. The visual here, if you're looking with us on YouTube at somethingtowrestle.com, I mean, I see why visually that makes sense, but I know you've said before you owed some apologies here and there to The Undertaker for matches you threw him in at WrestleMania. Any apologies to John Cena for this great Khali thing? Because to go from working with Randy Orton and Edge, Shawn Michaels and Umaga to now great Khali, that is a horse of a different color.
Yeah, but he beat the horse.
He beat it a lot. He beat him at One Night Stand on June 3rd as well. So he submitted him at Judgment Day in May, and he pins him at One Night Stand on June 3rd.
John Cena is a big man. And look at this shot of him having Great Khali up for the FU. And Khali just dwarfs him.
Yes.
Khali was huge. And another extremely nice man.
I mean, the visual of what we're seeing right there. I mean, on some level, it's more impressive than Hogan slamming Andre to me. I mean, to have him up on the shoulders like this. Why do you think that the Hogan Andre thing stands out to us so much? And what we're seeing here with like John Cena and Great Khali and other similar like monstrous feats of strength and things like that, they don't resonate as much as Andre Hogan. Why is that? Do you think because the Andre Hogan story like that was the first one, or?
Well, it was the first big one nationally. You know,
Yeah.
you go back and everybody like, oh, Hogan was the first one to
Right.
slam Andre. There were actually other times that people slammed Andre. Yeah, there were, and but not as many people remember that. I remember Hardy Race slamming Andre the Giant on the floor of the Summit in Houston, Texas. Andre let guys slam him that he trusted. But Hogan and Andre was the first on an international basis, and the story was told that, hey, Andre had never been defeated and Andre had never been slammed and what have you. And Hogan sold it in a way that it was superhuman. So again, it's all in the work. It's all in the story. You want to criticize Hogan all you want. He told the story and it made you believe at that time that that was a superhuman feat. And Andre was 973 pounds when he did that.
He died the next day, brother.
Yeah.
Exactly. Lord bless.
And then he hired the Undertaker, but
yeah, and then the Undertaker dropped him on his head and broke his neck.
Yeah,
he's in traction for 6 months.
It was like 3 years.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's when he created the NWO.
Yeah,
and I think if you remember, I mean, I heard through the grapevine that he actually called Austin and told him about Austin 316. Hey, here's what you should do. You're wrestling Jake Roberts.
Look, man, give credit where credit's due.
No doubt.
And you know, you look at it in that, but that's why. That's why, because the story that accompanied it made it larger than life. And people look at it as larger than life. Those that saw it, believed it, and believed, well, I've never seen that before.
The finish of the One Night Stand match with John Cena and Great Khali is Cena performing an FU to Khali. I mean, we're doing this everywhere we can, but we got cranes and arena floors, and there's a lot of shenanigans here. And when we get to Vengeance, Cena is once again going to retain the title. Now that there's no Mean Nasty Giant, we're back to the multiple man matches like we were at Backlash. This time it's a 5-pack challenge. Hey, process this now. He wrestled his own tag team partner. Then he wrestled 3 other men. Then he wrestled a giant twice. And now, after he's done 4 men, now it's 5 men. This time it's Bobby Lashley, King Booker, Randy Orton, and Mick Foley. I mean, that feels like a blast from the past here. So we see Cena get a win over Mick Foley here. That's the pinfall. That's how Cena wins the 5-pack challenge. Do you think a Cena Foley singles match could have worked? Could we have told that story?
Sure, it could have worked. Absolutely, it could have worked. I think it probably would have been a hell of a series of matches, because the only issue I think at this point was that, you know, Mick was not the Mick of old,
right,
and couldn't do a lot of the things Mick could do. However, working smarter and taking care of each other, shit, yeah, Cena and Foley could have had a hell of a run.
I would have loved to have seen that. The promos would have been phenomenal. Speaking of promos, boy, we got one today. Hey there, beach babes. Are you ready to soak up those summer vibes and unveil your ultimate beach bod? Well, you're in luck, because our friends at Manscaped have you covered from head to toe. With the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, this ultimate all-in-one grooming kit is set to have you looking and feeling your best in the summer sun. Trust Manscaped and unlock the confidence you need to turn heads this season. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped for 20% off and free shipping when you use our code STW. Let's make this summer your smoothest one yet. I got to tell you, Manscaped continues to deliver. And, man, I've been gifting this left and right because this is the time of year where, well, dudes are taking their shirts off and maybe they need a little help. I'm talking about the Performance Package 5.0. It's perfect for getting that crisp, clean, and confident look, especially now that you've got the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Groin and Body Hair Trimmer. Now, I know that we've spent a lot of time talking about below the waist grooming, but let's be honest. More than a few of us listening to this right now are rocking some back hair. The Lawnmower can help you out. They can also help you keep your ears and nose as tidy as your hedges next door with the Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer. Actually, saw my wife trying the Weed Whacker the other day. Post trim care never feels as good as the Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion. That's right. Ball Aftershave Lotion is all in this kit, along with the Crop Preserver. That's what they're calling their anti-chafing ball deodorant. And man, we want to see you shine, not sweat. For those sunny beach days, don't leave home without any of this stuff. I also want to mention they've got a Magic Mat disposable shaving mat so you can get your back and your front and everything else that needs grooming. It's like having a magician in your bathroom. By the way, this also comes with a set of free boxers, the 2.0 Midnight Bravo, comfort and style that fit like a dream. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code STW at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code STW at manscaped.com. The summer sun is here to stay. So trust Manscaped to keep your pubes at bay. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Manscaped. Man, they've been like a day one sponsor for us here. And if you've enjoyed all the episodes that we've done together, Bruce and I really would appreciate if you would just take a look at manscaped.com. See what they got. See if there's something you want to try. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. I've never put somebody on this and they didn't love it. I mean, there's something for everybody. And I know some of this stuff you're like, man, do I really need that? Yes, try it. It's a game changer. Because I'll be honest, I gifted some Manscaped through the years, and people thought it was like a gag gift. They thought it was a joke. And then they used it and they're like, hey man, that's the real deal. Yes, it is. It's not just a funny ha-ha on our podcast. It's not just a fun gift where they're like, oh, I'm going to shave my balls. No, it's awesome. These are great products and you're going to love them. You're going to try it and you're going to think, okay, is this a gimmick? Is this funny? Is this a gag gift? No, it's the real deal. Just something we don't talk about enough. And I want you guys to support Manscaped because, man, they've supported us from day one. So go right now to manscaped.com, use the code STW and try it. You'll love it. And so will the other people in your life. STW at manscaped.com. So listen, man, we know that this Vengeance pay-per-view is not really what everybody's talking about June of 2007. Unfortunately, the world of professional wrestling and a lot of lives would change forever. The whole Chris Benoit tragedy happens right in the middle of this. And Cena was working with Bobby Lashley. Did all the Benoit stuff change any plans for John Cena as best you can recall?
Not for John Cena, no.
Okay. So we know that Cena and Lashley are going to be the next program here. Do you think it could have worked? Would that match have worked as like a SummerSlam main event or a WrestleMania main event? Because Bobby Lashley has $1 million look. I mean, he looks like a movie star, and so does John Cena. And these are both these huge, large, jacked. I mean, it is quite the visual. Do you think that could have worked in a really big time marquee WrestleMania SummerSlam type main event?
Could have worked in any main event. I think that, both guys, were marquee guys that had huge upsides. So yeah, I definitely think it could have worked.
We know that Randy Orton and John Cena are going to be programmed together at SummerSlam. and Unforgiven. And this was actually a subject of the recent A&E series Rivals. So if you've been enjoying some of the WWE content on A&E, like Most Wanted Treasures, but man, the Rivals series I really enjoyed. And when I think about John Cena and his probably greatest, most common, most thought about opponent, I think of Randy Orton. Do you think of that too? Like that pairing of Randy and John, are they sort of that version, or a more modern day version of, one of those classic rivalries like Dusty Rhodes and Terry Funk, or Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat? Not comparing those, but just the sense that, man, these guys are always going to be linked together.
Yeah, because look, they came in at the same time.
Right.
They started training at the same time. And their paths were parallel no matter what happened. Okay. You couldn't change that. So they both took their paths a little bit differently, but they were both extremely successful. And the audience was always going to compare them to one another because of the time frame.
Let's talk about what happens next on October 1st. Disaster strike. John Cena, the face that runs the place, tears a pectoral muscle. He's doing a hip toss to Mr. Kennedy, and it's bad. It's revealed that he has torn the pec completely off the bone. And if you were to take a look at like the North American Journal of Sports Physical Therapy, you'll see that it's like, hey man, you can't do any strenuous lifting or movement there for like 6 months after pec surgery. But this is yet another example of like Super Cena, right?
Absolutely.
When you are in the midst of trying to keep control of these stories, and you've got this stone cold champion here, I mean, there's no doubt that John Cena is the man. He is the top guy. He's slayed the giants. He's settled rivalries. Main evented in WrestleMania. He's gone an hour on Monday Night Raw. He's beat 4 men. He's beat 5 men. And then a fairly elementary routine thing, and it all stops when he comes through the curtain. And you guys know, because I'm sure he knew, hey, it's bad. Is that just panic in the backstage area? Or do you guys, as you're going through this, do you always have like all right, here's our plan A, but here's a backup plan if something bad happens, and you've got to have somebody in that on deck circle?
I mean, look, there's always somebody in the on deck circle. The reality of the situation is you play your hand as you have it in front of you, and then you deal with it if you lose a card. The reality of the situation is you hope that everybody's going to stay healthy. You certainly hope that everything's going to work. That's just not always the case. So you have to adapt. You have to be able to move on a dime, and you can't get hung up on what ifs. Can't get hung up on, by God, we were going to do this. Well, by God, you can't do that right now because that piece is no longer in play. And you have to come up with something new and original and different, because it's not usually a case of plug and play. We're okay, well, that guy's out. We'll put this guy in. So you have to throw all the balls back up in the air and figure it out. So it's not as easy as, well, you have an A plan and a B plan, because if your A plan is halfway through, it's just a new plan. I wish it was that easy, but it's not.
We got to talk about what Meltzer wrote at the time. He says, at first they thought it was an injured shoulder. Then the next day, during a visit to James Andrews, they determined he'd torn the pec. Cena had been the longest reigning champion since Hulk Hogan in the 80s, and he very much wanted to drop the belt in the ring at the pay-per-view the following Sunday. But the doctor told him if he wanted to heal correctly, they had to do surgery immediately. Now, I know that we've all heard through the years that, John Cena is really the Iron Man. He wants to be there. He wants to deliver. He'll work hurt. He'll rub some dirt on it. He'll tape it up, all those cliches. But now boy, we've got a bit of a mess. Take me back to when you guys are getting this report. What's it like when you guys are trying to figure out what's what? Because I know what we came up with is Vince comes out on ECW TV. That's their third show at the time, and strips John Cena of the WWE title and just awards it to Randy Orton. How did we land on this decision?
Well, it was a heel
Sure.
decision, so it was meant to get heat. And based on what we had and how soon that we needed to get to something else, didn't have a whole lot of time for logic and for a tournament or anything else like that. So what's going to get the most heat? What's going to get the most interest instantaneously? And that's kind of how those decisions take place.
What do you remember about Cena's rehab process? I mean, are you guys in constant communication? Are you personally, or is he talking to somebody else? Like, how are you guys trying to chart the course of when he's coming back, when to write a story back, and all that sort of thing?
It's interesting because when you look at any injury, really per se, is you're talking to talent. Talent always is going to tell you, "I'm doing great. And I'm going to be back sooner than." 9 times out of 10, that's just not true, and nor is it good for the talent or for anybody else involved. Um, John Cena's an enigma. John's a different cat. And when John is telling you, "Hey, I'm going to be back in 6 weeks instead of 12 weeks," well, learn not to take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
Because somehow, some way, get a call from Jeff Dugas, and he's like, "Yeah, you know what? He's stronger than ever. He's good to go." Contrary to Mark Marrow, who is ahead by 4 weeks, comes back way early and then gets re-injured because he didn't rehab properly. He rehabbed quickly and had someone help him get stronger in other areas, but not rehabbing his knee the way that it should have been. And for John just man, he's an enigma. John truly is one of those unique athletes that can knock him down for a minute, but he's going to get back up. When he gets back up, he's going to be stronger, more determined than ever. So listening to John say, "Hey, I'm going to be back sooner," I believed it.
It's fascinating to hear and talk about John Cena's, recovery, because it just feels like it's never what you expect. And we've talked about his return from this pec tear on our No Way Out 2008 episode. So if you haven't heard that, I recommend you check it out at somethingtowrestle.com. He's going to come back in pretty spectacular fashion. And I know that, we start winding down, you were only with the company a few more months, and you've seen Cena go from the kid in the gym in California and doing the rap backwards thing and the rewind and prototype and the ruthless aggression slap and the rapper and the vanilla ice spoof and then the United States champion, then the world champion. And is it him or Batista? It's clearly him. I mean, you saw this guy become sort of the modern version of Hulk Hogan right before your eyes here. Was he of that stint that you had with WWE? Was he like the last great sort of icon that you think you were a part of helping create with WWE?
He was. And, I still think to this day that John Cena is that icon and that guy, that people still remember and love and appreciate and respect because he did it all. He was the man. He did every aspect of being the man, from waking up or not even going to sleep to make the plane to go to Good Morning America or the Today Show to flying out, finding a plane on his own to go and visit a sick kid That's not hype. That's not PR. That's just John Cena. And John Cena is the kind of guy that takes his job very seriously, takes himself very seriously without being too serious. Has a has a way about carrying himself and all of his business. I'll never forget calling John when I was no longer with the company, and just to share a story with him that my son had. And John called me right back. He was in San Diego driving to the airport after a Monday Night Raw, I believe it was. And I never thought, I left John a message. I never thought in a million years he'd call me back. And he called me right back. And that's just John. John's that guy. John is that special. He works hard. He everything that he has, he deserves, and then some. Not afraid of hard work. And that's what made him the man. What made him the man was that he got up and he did everything and then some. He found things to do. That's what makes the complete, when people talk about being the guy in the company, John Cena was the guy. He did it all and did it with a smile on his face and didn't refuse. Knew this is the gig. This is my responsibility and I'm going to do it. So, to the haters out there, you have no idea the amount of work, the amount of effort, the amount of desire, the amount of passion that is John Cena. And I love the guy personally. I love him professionally. And he has proven time and time again why he deserves that quote spot. And he's gone on to do it in Hollywood and have people, man, you can count on Cena. Cena's going to step up and he'll do what the others won't. And he'll do it better than they would too. So very happy for him. And again, seeing it coming up, you saw this guy has it. This guy has that passion and desire. When I went to his house and saw all of the pairs of boots and trunks and knee pads that were different, he wore a different outfit every night to support the local team or the local college, whatever it was. And kept every one of them. Only wore them once and kept them. And his dad had them in this closet and showed them all to me. That's the kind of guy he was. And to this day, still is. He's still working hard. He's still nonstop. He's just going, going, going. And whenever, you see something really good happen to the guy, instead of begrudging him, smile, be happy for him, because I guarantee he worked his ass off to get it and he deserves it.
John has to be one of your favorite performers you ever worked with. Is that fair to say?
100%. 100%. Definitely, one of, and there's a few, you got to throw Undertaker in there. You got to throw Steve, you got to throw Rock, and, now Cody. But there are guys, and John, just from day one, man, think about it. John Cena used to give me a ride. I think it was an Oldsmobile 88 in California, would give me a ride back to the airport. Had no air conditioning and the passenger side window didn't work, didn't go down. But I enjoyed that ride and appreciated it so much because he took that time to ask me questions. He took that time to talk about the business, to learn. And I always just appreciated the hell out of that. And at that point, he was prototype. And I thought, God, this is horrible. This is going to kill you, kid. But he had the passion, he had the desire, and getting to know him, I discovered that passion. I discovered that drive that he had and appreciated him all that much more.
You said that Cena was nonstop, and we've also talked about his super recovery period. Well, you can feel like Cena, a little super Cena with our friends at BlueChew. Come on, you know I was going to fit it in there somehow. Today's episode and all of our episodes are brought to you by BlueChew. They are day one sponsors here on somethingtowrestle.com. And if you haven't tried it already, what are you waiting for? BlueChew is a unique online service that delivers to you the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. And the process is simple, folks. You sign up at BlueChew.com, you consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And here's the best part. Man, it's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversation, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And BlueChew's tablets are made in the USA, prepared and shipped directly to your door, all in a discreet package. BlueChew wants to help you have better sex. So discover your options at BlueChew.com. Let's chew it and do it. And here's a special deal for our listeners. Try BlueChew free when you use our promo code WRESTLE at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. The promo code is WRESTLE and you'll receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank BlueChew for sponsoring today's podcast. Bruce, let's get some fan questions in here. Anthony wants to know, was there any consideration of putting the belt on Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23?
No.
Thank you for that wordy answer. Zol Lopez says, I believe it was said Cena would buy the jerseys of whichever town of the show he was in. Any idea what Cena did with those jerseys?
No. Yeah, that was part of, as I just said, in the all of his outfits, all of that, he had at his dad's house. I mean, it was all there on display.
I think he's going to auction that off one day.
He kept all of them.
He should auction that stuff off one day for charity or something. Knowing John, that's got to be something he'll do.
Yeah.
Jason says there's an infamous story that John used his first WWE title win payday, WrestleMania 21, to buy his mom a home long before he bought one for himself, which is true, and assured her she'd never have to work again. This would have been 2005. Did he always bet on himself like this?
Knowing John, I think so. In order to get where John got, you had to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
So yes, I think that, people that have that drive, it just doesn't come out of the blue. It comes from a long-standing desire way down deep inside that makes you be successful, makes you do those things and do extraordinary things. So I believe that John always had that.
Omar Garibay says, did you ever listen to John Cena's debut album, You Can't See Me, from start to finish? If so, what are your thoughts on the album and what's your favorite song? And was the idea of John ever recording another album ever discussed? Now, this is something we haven't spent a lot of time talking about, but it's rare that you have the top guy actually put out an album. And I know we've had a funny wink and a nod with the Hulk Hogan album before and the wrestling album way back when.
Bad Street, Atlanta, GA. Deep, Bad Street in the whole USA. Deep, Bad Street. Nasty and hot. Further down that block, you went the battery. Got do. Can't leave it.
I'm just saying, like, the tippy top guy of the promotion. I don't think that, it's a special, person to be able to sort of wear all these hats and do all this. I was not necessarily a huge fan of the album. It's not really my kind of thing. However, I'm sure a lot of Super Cena fans and WWE fans checked it out. Do you think it was ever considered to do it a second time? And what'd you think of the album?
I think we talked about it. I just don't know that it was something, it's time consuming. John and his brother wrote all that stuff and he worked hard on it, man. He dove into it. To answer the question, yes, I have listened to the entire album. No, I couldn't tell you one song on it or what my favorite was, but it was good. God bless him.
Good old Irish boy What a heck of a name that is. Says, would Bruce consider getting a spinner title to commemorate his black belt Hall of Fame?
No.
Not a big spinner guy.
Well, not for Black Belt Hall of Fame.
Of course not. It's so silly.
Please.
James wants to know, did you ever come close to turning him heel, or was he Hogan-like with the Make-A-Wish stuff and merchandise that you just couldn't? I mean, this is probably the most discussed and debated thing about Cena's career. I mean, I know that he was a heel for a period of doing the rap stuff, but fans gravitated to it. They liked it. He's been a baby face ever since, never faltered. He would even joke on TV towards the end of his real full-time run. He would even say, maybe it's time for a little heel turn. I'll never forget that. But what did you think of the debate? Should he or shouldn't he? If you had the call, would you have done it?
I would have done it.
Yeah.
I understand why we didn't, but I would have done it.
Is there a time period or a story that you thought of that you pitched that you liked that could have worked?
Not
there?
that I can remember, but
Yeah.
I think that, timing being what it was and or is, if the timing were right, I think that it could have worked. We're beyond the point of, we're at the point of no return. So there's no way that the audience would ever take him as a heel right now.
Was Cena always the guy who turned it down, or Vince?
No, I think it was everybody, from the standpoint of when you look at, what he meant to the company and what his brand was to everything, to the Make-A-Wish, to, being the guy, the media darling that he was, and to the audience, merch, every single aspect of the business told you, do not turn him heel.
Right.
So it wasn't a good business decision.
Do you think perhaps, I never really thought about this until just now, do you think perhaps one of the reasons maybe Vince wasn't a fan of the idea of turning Cena heel is now your biggest star in the company is a bad guy? And normally, you want to have somebody at that level on the babyface side. You didn't really have that here. There was nobody who was as big of a star as Cena in that era. Do you think that was the hesitation that, we can't have
a metric? It's business,
right?
It's business. And you look at every single metric. You don't want to mess with that. You don't want to change something just because, well, this is the way they did it in the wrestling business.
Right.
In business where you are in business to make money and stay in business, you have to take into consideration, all right, how many sponsorships do we have because of this individual? How much merchandise do we sell because of this individual?
Yes. How
many charities does this individual represent on a worldwide basis?
Yes.
So it's not just the guy sitting in his basement and Sheboygan going, well, I don't think they should turn John Cena heel because I don't like him because he's too nice of a guy. That doesn't get it. It's the business.
Yes.
We are in business to make money. We are in business to, hopefully, if you're in business, you're trying to stay in business. So that would be the reason.
Drew Landry wants to know, why do you think Vince kept turning to Cena throughout the past 20 years? Because he was reliable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, why not? Why, why do you go to your favorite driver in your, why wouldn't you? I guess is the question.
Yeah. Brad wants to know, why do you think Cena got so much negativity about his moveset when so many others do it as well? It wasn't unfair criticism, really.
Sure was, because John Cena did it well, and John Cena was rewarded for it. John was very popular, and I think people like to kick the guy up at the top.
I see. Francis Reyes wants to know, when did you know that Cena was the franchise player in the company?
I think Cena was on his way to be the franchise player, like I said, after he beat JBL and was moving on up.
Well, we're moving on up. Next week, Bruce, we're going to be talking about Backlash 99. This is the 25-year anniversary of the show after WrestleMania. It features Steve Austin defending the WWE title against The Rock in a no-holds-barred match. We've got Triple H and X-Pac squaring off fresh after that DX breakup. Mankind and the Big Show are going to be hooking it up in a boiler room brawl. The Blue Meanie is on TV a lot. The Ministry of Darkness and the Brood are going to get involved with each other. And it's the beginning of Stephanie McMahon becoming a regular performer on WWF programming. All of that coming up next week here on the show, Backlash 99. I say next week, but Bruce, we got to be honest. This is a conversation that you and I have dreaded for a while. We had to have it off air. Probably been a long time coming, probably long overdue. We teased it a few weeks ago. Rampant speculation ever since. But I know you wanted to make an announcement about the future of somethingtowrestle.com.
Yeah, folks, we're not going to be able to do this on Fridays anymore. Just scheduling and what have you. It's my role in the company is continuing to evolve and to change, and more responsibilities. And as we said at the very top, time is a commodity that is very valuable and that is taken for granted an awful lot. So we won't be coming to you every week on Fridays anymore. Instead, we're going to move to Mondays.
Hey now, how about that? So this show dropped on a Monday because, well, as luck would have it, Bruce and I could only record on Sunday, even on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
But that actually works for Bruce and his schedule a little easier. So rather than us continue to fight City Hall,
as we may,
we're going to go with the flow, baby. And we're going to record on the weekends, and we'll be coming to you every Monday. And I guess that officially starts today. So be sure to tune in next Monday, and we'll be watching Backlash 99. But the rumors of the demise of somethingtowrestle.com, that's all rumor and innuendo, right, Bruce?
Yeah, that's the stuff you get over at that other place.
Yeah, we don't
see my elbow. Look at my elbow.
Oh, you're going to do a little show and tell here at somethingtowrestle.com. Oh, there's the incision.
Oh yeah.
How about that? We have the technology. We can rebuild him. Look at there.
Look at that thing, man. Boy, it hurts like hell right there, right where they attach this some bitch. Yeah, look at that thing. That's got to be like, that's a big one.
Look at them nails shining. Got to have class, pal.
Huh?
Look at them fingernails shining. Got to have class, pal.
Well, yeah. You see your toes? No, you don't get to see my toes. The answer's no, Conrad, you sick freak.
You can't put your toes on that table.
I could.
No, you can't.
I could.
We'll see next week right here on Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard.
Rock on. Look at him. They're not even painted anymore.
Will you stop?
What the?
Hey guys, Eric Bischoff here. Now, if you need cash without the controversy, the team at SaveWithConrad.com can help. But don't take my word for it.
Hi, my name is Richard Smith. I'm from Moss Point, Mississippi. One of my friends at work said I just been refinancing and my interest rate was 9%, and he said he got his for 2.3. So I said, well, maybe I should try. Got a hold of Diane. She kept in touch the whole entire time. We owned 2 houses and we rented one out, and my renter quit paying, so we gave it back to the mortgage company. And because we did that, we had to wait 3 years for an FHA loan to go back through. The one thing that Conrad said on his podcast was, we'll never tell you no. We might say, not now, this is what we need to do, and we'll make sure we get it done. Well, prime example, 3 years. And when they say no money out of pocket, there's no money out of pocket. They figure it out. But like, she was so quick that, don't worry about this, I got this first. That's what impressed me the most. My name is Richard Smith, and I saved $700 a month with SaveWithConrad.com.
And unlike the dirt sheets, these reviews don't lie. With over 1,000 5-star reviews, find out for yourself how much Conrad and his team can save you by checking out SaveWithConrad.com, and do it today.
NMLS number 32416, equal housing lender, SaveWithConrad.com.